Hey there, fellow classic comic collectors. As always, I'm Scott Harris King, and believe it or not, I'm back with the Dollar Bin Trading Challenge. Yes, those of you who've been watching the channel for a long time will know what I'm talking about, but it's been almost a year and a half since the last installment of the Dollar Bin Trading Challenge. So, for our new viewers, I'm going to reset things and fill you in on what this is, and then we'll get into the specifics of what's going on this time around as we finish round 7 and go into round 8. So, the idea behind the Dollar Bin Trading Challenge is pretty simple. I scour the globe for books out of dollar bins and dollar bins only. Then I trade those books to you, and when I get the books from you, I trade them back to you guys. And the idea is I'm going to try and trade up until I get an All-Star Comics number 8, the first appearance of Wonder Woman. So I'm going to start with just books out of dollar bins and try and trade all the way up from the dollar bins to the first appearance of Wonder Woman. Now, sounds crazy, but I've had a lot of luck over the years with some great dollar bin books. I've gotten books out of dollar bins that I've been able to trade or sell for hundreds of dollars worth of stuff. So that was the idea. And what I did at the beginning of this is I took 20 books from my boxes that I had gotten from dollar bins, and I started trading with you guys. And we've done 7 rounds so far, and we've increased the value quite a lot. We've got some really cool books in the pool. Um, So, but it's been a year and a half. So why was the delay? Well, I was already in the middle of starting to do the trades for the next round. I had the videos all recorded for this, and I basically some stuff with life happened. I got really swamped with all the Kickstarter stuff and making the comics, and that corresponded with a huge market correction. You know, in 2021, everything was going crazy during the first, year and a half of the pandemic. Everybody was just sitting at home with nothing to do, and they were buying comics, and so the price of everything went through the roof. So right when I was getting ready to do this, all the prices started nosediving. And so, besides being really busy, it was really discouraging because I had worked for over a year to trade up to a certain value point that I had gotten to, and then the value of everything I had just started nosediving. So it was really discouraging, but at the same time, it was also more work because I was really struggling. Every time I'd look, the price had changed, the value had changed. It was getting really hard to make trades because the values were diving so much. Everything was so volatile that it was just constantly trying to double check prices, and they'd double check prices, and it was just really hard to keep up with it. So I put that on the back shelf. But I finally decided it's time to get back to it. Now I've gone through the books, I've reevaluated all the values, and at the end of round 7, where I had this video ready, a year and a half ago, I had calculated at that time that the current market value of the books in the trading pool, again, we started with $20 bin books, had gotten up to $2,200. And when I recalculated that over the last week with going through the books with the current prices, that had dropped to about 1,550. So it was like a huge nosedive. We basically lost roughly a third of the market value of the trading pool because of the decline in prices. Now, the good news is that's been pretty consistent across the board. So the stuff that I'm trading for has also dropped. And so it's all relative. The big question is the decline of the pool. Ultimately, what really matters is the how the pool value is performing compared to the Wonder Woman first appearance in All-Star 8, because and that I don't know. I don't currently have GPA. I let it lapse because the trading challenge was also lapsed. So I don't know. I have a feeling that book has also been going down, but not nearly as much as some of this stuff. Those Golden Age keys tend to hold their value a lot better and a lot less volatile. But that I know that had a big market correction because it had been very high. And then Wonder Woman 84, the second movie came out, and a lot of people hated it. It was kind of a flop, and they canceled the third movie. And so that did affect the price of that. It went down. So ultimately, it doesn't really matter that much until we get to the point where we're getting close, and we're not close. We're not close. So I decided, you know what? It's a lot of fun to trade. It's a lot of fun to search through dollar bins looking for new books. So we're going to start it back up. Now, just to quickly go over the rules again, there's 20 books in the trading pool. That's what I started with. If I drop below 20 books, I can add more books, but only dollar bin books. And that's kind of how this is supposed to work in terms of the value increasing. Is that, let's say that I have 2 books in the pool that are worth $20 each. I trade them to you for 1 book that's worth $40, or perhaps even $35, because we're consolidating upwards. And what that does is it opens an empty slot for me to put a new dollar book find in that adds value. So if I trade 2 $20 books to you for $40, and then I add a $10 book, well, Bob's your uncle. The value just increased from $40 to $50 in the trading pool. Now, that's the idea. So we can go above 20 if I trade for it. So there's a couple times, including this round, where we got up to 21 books because I would trade 1 book for 2, and we end up with more books in the trading pool. But I will only add new books if we drop below 20. And that's kind of the goal, is to consolidate upwards, add new books. I will say that the pandemic really also kind of played hob with this, because for a long time it was really hard. A lot of comic stores weren't open. It was hard to get out, which means it was hard to search for dollar bins. And dollar bins in general, it's becoming harder and harder to find good deals in dollar bins. A lot of dollar bins these days, when I do even find a store that has them, it's all modern stuff. And maybe there's something in there, but I really don't know that much about modern. And so it's becoming harder to actually find good stuff in dollar bins. Luckily, I just love getting stuff out of dollar bins, and I'm always looking for value. So I actually had quite a backlog of stuff. Still do, although I'm almost out of the good stuff. I have a whole, like half of I probably got 75 or 80 dollar bin books that are all worth somewhere between like $5 and $9 each. Which is nice, but I've been hoping that some of those would pop a little and get up to 10 or 15. I try not to get anything in the pool that's below $10. So other rules are that I'm not going to spend any money on anything, with 2 exceptions. So only dollar bin books. The exceptions are I'm not tracking how much it costs me to ship everything out, because there's a lot of that going on, so we're not factoring that into anything. But the other thing is, I have reserved the right to take books and send them to CGC. So if I get something really cool, one way that I can potentially add value to books is to send them to CGC. And if they get graded high, I can do that. Now, I don't like to do that because it takes the books out of the trading pool for like a year. And only if, you get lucky, does it matter. But I wanted that rule specifically because when we do get closer to the end, if we start getting to the point where I've got keys that are like 4-figure books, which we haven't got to yet, but if we get to that point, then I'm going to want to start having them CGC to make it safer for everybody involved in terms of guaranteeing the grades and stuff like that. So there may come a point when, if we start getting some of those bigger keys, I'm going to need to start getting them CGC'd. Now, I have had a couple books CGC'd, and so I will say that in this round, since I stopped a year and a half ago, I had sent a bunch of dollar bin books. I have some videos about this to CGC. It's a whole bunch of copies of Star Slayer #2, because a few years ago, I was at a store and I bought 15 copies for 30 cents each, and a bunch of them were sort of high grade copies. And so we'll get to this at the end of the video, but basically I had a Star Slayer 2 in the pool this time around. You'll see it in the video coming up. And in order to sort of help counteract that huge loss in value, I took out the raw copy that I had in the trading pool and replaced it with a CGC 9.8 that I got back. So that's the first time that's happened. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually show you the videos that I recorded a year and a half ago. we're going to go over the trades from the previous round so you can see all the books that went out and all the new books that came in for trades. It was kind of complicated. There were basically 2 rounds covered by this video because I made a big trade with someone, got books back, and then immediately traded those out before I had a chance to even unveil them to you guys. Once we do that video, there's going to be another video. Well, it's going to be, I'm going to splice them all together, but there's another video that I recorded showing the books that are currently in the pool, right? And then after that, I'm going to come back as me today with a little follow-up because not all the books that you're going to see here are actually still available. I'll get into why that is. But first, here we go. Rewind your minds to February of 2022, which is when I recorded these videos. And so we can catch up on the last round of the trading challenge, and we can see what's going on with this round of the trading challenge. And I'll put the new graphics up there so you can see all the books that we started with and all the books we ended with and the values. You'll see the value drop for the first time, a big drop because of the valuation change. But let's see the old stuff. Let's get to the cool books. I know I've been already talking for more than 10 minutes, but let's get to the cool books. And then I'll come back at the end to talk a little bit more. So we have the biggest trade yet in the trading challenge, over $600 worth of books going both directions. As you know, I've been trying to consolidate upwards, and I traded the 2 biggest books on my list last time, but I actually consolidated downward. I spread back out a little bit with these. I couldn't quite get, as I was fielding trade offers, I couldn't quite get the deal that I wanted to move things upwards. So I decided instead to diversify and refocus a little bit. And I got some CGC books in this in exchange for some raw books as part of the calculus. But 5 books, and I'm very happy with the deals. The books that went out, again, the top books on the list, it was Marvel Spotlight 32, the first appearance of Spider-Woman, and a really nice mid-grade Doctor Strange 169. The third book was one of my many copies of Star Slayer number 2, which I'm very happy anytime I can trade one of those because there's a renewable resource for me. So I have another one already back in the trading pool. Here's the 5 books that I got in return. We're going to start at the bottom. It is Master of Kung Fu number 29. Nice copy. I'd say around a 7. First appearance of Razor Fist. This is a book that went up quite a lot going into the movie. The movie got kind of mixed reaction, so it's cooled down a little bit. But first appearance of Razor Fist, who is in Shang-Chi, the movie, and spoilers, does not die in that movie, and so will be back for more movies. So a book that I think, is a minor key, but if you're looking for a run of Master of Kung Fu, this is one of the bigger ones that you need. So I was happy to get this. I'm going to be asking $25 in trade for this. Fantastic Four number 75 with a Galactus and Silver Surfer cover. All of the Galactus, Silver Surfer, Fantastic Four issues have been going way up. I have this at about a 4.5. Structurally very nice. However, it has a lot of color rubbing all over the cover. And the back cover is quite dirty. Clearly, at some point in the past, this was not stored correctly and didn't have a bag. Hey, when these came out, they didn't have comic bags, so I guess that makes some sense. But it's structurally really nice. Still has really nice colors, even with the color rub. So excited to get this. I'm going to talk a little bit about this more in a minute. This is a book that I value at about $55. And here's a great one. Very excited to get this. It's Intimate Confessions of Real Love. It's True to Life Romances number 10 with a classic L.B. Cole romance cover. These are really cool. Now, this is a lower grade copy. It does have, I don't know if you can see on the bottom here. So there's a one of the wraps inside is detached at one staple, and because of that, it sticks out a little bit and has gotten a little ragged as a result. But the book is complete, and it's still attached at one staple. These books are hard to value, but I'm aiming high on this one. I'm going to be asking about $150 in trade for it. I think in cash it's probably not that high, but it's also not a book that comes around very much, and so I'm gonna value it a little bit a little bit on the aggressive side. I am a romance guy. I know you guys are romance people as well, who watch my channel. So that's what we're going to go with this book. Great colors. Great colors. Very happy with this. And here's the two bigger books, even bigger than that. CGC 8.0 copy of Amazing Spider-Man 134. Always happy to get CGC books. Always happy to get Spider-Man books. I've only had a couple. There's going to be more coming later in this round. But of course, Spider-Man is basically the most popular title in comics. So I'm sure I'll be able to trade this pretty easily. What is more difficult is figuring out what the value of this is, because it's all over the place. At the time I'm recording this, if you look at the GPA, the average for the last 3 months is somewhere around $210 or something. But that's because there was one sale for $290, and then the previous sale was only like $160. So I don't know what this is actually worth at the moment. Very difficult to tell. I can tell you that it's going up in all grades. Over the last 90 days, all grades have gone up, with the exception of a 9.8, which has remained a bit flat. The last sale was down a little, so that flattened it out. But in every other grade, it's going up. So I tend to lean more towards the higher sale than the lower sale. I know that in an 8.5, the grade above it, the sale was similarly over 300. So I think that those low sales and there was a couple that 160, 170 that flattened it out. I think those are actually the aberrations. But as you know, those are on the low side, and the 290 was way on the high side. I don't know what the value of this is. TBD on the valuation of this when we get to the end. A lot of times in these videos, I record them, when I'm making the trades, and then by the time things come out, the values have shifted. So you know what? I'm not even going to put a trade value on this or the other one. When we get to the end of the video and I put up the graphic, which I'll do when I'm ready to post the video, then we'll have the value. But I can tell you that at the time I got it, around 200 is what I was valuing it at. And then here's the big one. It's Nova number 1, CGC 9.2. This was basically, as the trade shook out, kind of a straight up deal for the Marvel Spotlight 32. Now that was a raw book that I had graded around a 9, valued for around 310 for me. GPA on this at the time we made the trade was about 280. So I figured, well, I'm losing a little bit of value, but it is CGC'd, and this book has been very hot. Okay, all right, I'm back, and as promised, we've got the next batch of books. Now, I had to record that video because the Fantastic Four 75 was already going out the door, and it was going out the door for this pile of sweetness here. I had a big trade with someone, and it involved the Strange Tales 169, the first appearance of Brother Voodoo, and I traded that along with Shaun of the She-Devil number 1, along with the Static number 1. I also traded away, let's see, the Fantastic Four 75. There were a couple other books that I threw in as well, small books that I threw in to round things off. And what did I get in trade? Now this was a bit of a different trading experience for me, because this is one of the rare instances where I traded down. I had some interest in the Strange Tales 169, but honestly I wasn't getting that much. But I had a trading partner from last time, the newest rant. You may remember from last time he traded me an Avengers Annual number 10. And I happen to remember from that trade that he had multiple copies of Avengers Annual 10. And as we'll see in a minute, I got something really great for that Avengers Annual 10. So what I decided to do was to try and replicate that, get value in a different way, and I traded down. I traded that Strange Tales 169 for these. It's 2 copies of Avengers Annual 10. They're both high grade. They're both really nice. I have them both around a 9. They have kind of I would say like non-color breaking bends. There's a little bit of a stacking curl on both of them, but this one in particular, but barely noticeable. But the sort of thing, a press would take care of most of the issues on these. I mean, I don't think you'll get a 9.8 from them, but I have them both again. 9.0, maybe an 8.5 if you're being super strict on these non-color breaking bends. But great books. First appearance of Rogue, and as I'll show you in a minute, I got something really great from the last one of these he sent me. So I thought, you know what, let's spread it out a little bit more. And so where did the rest of all those other books go for? Well, they went for these here. This is cool. It's an Amazing Spider-Man 252 newsstand edition. Now, it is mid-grade, has a number of spine ticks. You can see here, I would have this at about a 5.5, maybe a 5. No guarantee what CGC would give. I find it kind of goofy that they grade on the curve based on what era the books come from, and they grade the moderns much more harshly than the older books, which doesn't really make sense to me. Grade's a grade, but this is a book that I've never owned. This was a book that was super hot when I first started collecting in 1984. And so I've always known about it, and it's always been hot. And with the popularity of Venom and the popularity of Spider-Man at all-time highs right now, it's hotter than ever, and I've never had one before. So it's really cool to own this, even if it is just to trade it along to someone else that collects Spider-Man, because I'm not a big Spider-Man fan. But really cool to have that. And then there's also this, again, lower grade, probably in the 4.5 to 5 range. Yeah, we don't want to say the 5 number around this book. Let's say 4 to 4.5. It is Avengers 196 newsstand edition. I'm not sure that matters for this time period, but I'm just mentioning it. First full appearance of Taskmaster. First cover, of course, Taskmaster. So, really cool. Thanks very much to Newest Rant for these books. I'm excited to get these in the trading pool. It's our first return. Not first return, but the first time we're going to have multiples of the same book in the pool at the same time. But we're actually going to have more multiples in some books I'm going to show you in a minute. But anyway, really looking forward. It's cool. It's a great book to have in the pool because it's got, besides the first appearance of Rogue, it's very important to a bunch of different collecting fan bases. So I'm really happy to have that. So I mentioned that last time around I had one of these and I got something really cool for it. Well, that is a fact, and I want to thank Westy Steve for this. I traded with Westy Steve on the CGC forums. They've traded away the previous Avengers Annual 10, and he sent me this. It's Journey into Mystery, number 92. We had a slight difference of opinion on the grade. So, he graded this as a 3, and I think that's a little harsh. I actually have it closer to a 4. The main issue is this here. You'll notice there's some spotting up in this section of the logo. Now, he had described it as foxing, but I don't think it is. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's some kind of like a spray from like a paint or something like that. It is something that was like sprayed onto the cover. Again, I'm not sure what. But for me, it's not as big of a flaw as it was for him. Either way, it's a really cool lower grade book that presents really nicely. It's tight, it's clean. Great early Loki cover. I think this is his 4th appearance or something like that. So really happy to have this, and I thought it was I'm going to see if I can do some more trades with Westy Steve, because it was really tough to decide which book. He offered me a choice of several books, and there was a couple that I actually really wanted for my own collection. The big one being an Archie Annual number 4, which is the first 3 on a soda cover. So we'll see. This was the one that I thought my collecting base would like the most, but he's got a couple others. I'm going to try and see. Maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, he'll like something here. We can get one of those in here. But thanks very much, Steve. Love the book, and it's so cool to have this in the trading challenge. And now, next trade I wanted to talk about was a trade with my buddy Kyle. Thanks very much, Kyle, for another trade. Kyle's been trading me almost every round of the trading challenge. This time around, The books that went out to Kyle was the Power Man and Iron Fist, CGC 9.4 of issue 66, the second appearance of Sabretooth. Also the Flash 152, which is a CGC 7 point something or other, 7.0 I think. And also the Amethyst number 1 and 2 price variants. And what I got in return was the Marvel Preview presents Star-Lord number 4, first appearance of Star-Lord. It is, as you can see, it's ungraded. It's a nice copy. Kyle had it around a 7. I think that's fair. It's got some little color break increases here, small ones. It's got some, corner wear, just pretty typical for magazines like this. Couple other little things like that. I think 7 is a very fair assessment of this. And of course, Star-Lord is big for Guardians of the Galaxy, so this is a big key now. And I used to have one of these when I was a kid, in a bunch of 70s stuff that was given to me as a kid. But that's long, long gone for me. And the other thing I got from Kyle was this Doctor Strange 169. Now, it's a low-grade copy. He had it at a 1.82/2.0. I think that's fair. And I think the uncertainty over whether it's a 1.8 or 2.0 is also fair. It's got a lot of creasing, heavy wear. It's got a couple, it's got 10 cents written on it a couple places. So it's pretty rough. But such a great comic. Now, you remember last time, and I just talked about this in one of the previous trades, I had a nice mid-grade Doctor Strange 169. I had it at a 4.5. Wanted to call it a 5. Couldn't quite bring myself, so it's to say a 4.5, but looked nice. So I traded that knowing that I was going to get at least one more copy of Doctor Strange 169. And actually, I got 2 copies of it, because I also got this, which is the new top book in our list. It's Doctor Strange 169, but it's a slightly nicer one than last time. This is one that I have at more of about a 5.5. So last time I had something that had a 4.5 that wanted to call itself a 5. This is a 5.5 that's maybe thinking about calling itself a 5. So it's on either end of the 5s, but I think a 5.5 is fair. Beautiful color, beautiful gloss. I've talked about this before. The color strikes on this book is fantastic. Like the previous copy, it does have some creasing along parallel to the spine, but it's not as heavy, and it only goes up about here instead of the whole length of the spine. It's got some wear on the bottom corner here and a couple other places. I'll have pictures of it. But I think a 5.5 is a very fair grade for this. It's a beautiful, beautiful copy. This goes right to the top of the list. I love this book. And, the movie's about to come out. Everybody's loving Doctor Strange right now. So I was really happy to get 2 copies for 2 different price ranges. So, a lot of people won't want to trade this much or spend this much on the book. For this copy, they'll have a lower grade copy available. So I'm hoping to move this along to someone that digs it. And this one here, this is a book that I'm really hoping to bundle upwards for something. So very excited to get both of those. So let's put up the new list now, and we can see the values increase quite a bit. One thing that's unusual is this is the first round where I'm not adding anything, because a couple of these trades actually end up with more books than I traded away. And so at the end of the day, it all balanced out and it ended up completely even. Now, one thing I'm still struggling with is I have several books at the bottom of the list, the lower price books, that I haven't been able to move for a little while. And I'm still struggling to move some of those. And that's really important. The only way this engine works really is if I can take those take 2 of those $25 books and trade it up for a $50 book, and then take 2 $50 books and trade it up for a $100 book. That's how we've gotten to this point. So if people aren't trading for the books that are at the $20, $25, $30 slots, then I'm going to get stuck here at some point or another. There's been a couple trades I've tried to pull off with some of these bigger books and haven't been able to do it. It's been a little frustrating. What I'm finding is that Facebook is, for me, has been a pretty bad place to trade. I've been offering people some very reasonable deals and getting some very snarky responses from people, which is not the case in any of the other venues. A lot of places like Reddit and the CGC forums and other places that I trade, they have certain guidelines, certain rules, like don't crap on other people's pricing and just be courteous and stuff like that. Apparently that doesn't apply on Facebook, because on Facebook, I just tried to pull off a trade with someone the other day where they had a book that I wanted, which is a Spider-Man 129 First Punisher. It was a CGC 1.8, and I have a subscription to GPA, so I know that the 12-month value on that is $789. I offered him $900 in trade for it, and I got a lol, an LOL in response. That was his response. So just a lot of really rude, obnoxious people on Facebook. So I don't know if I'm going to bother trying anymore on Facebook. Not everyone's been that bad, but I've gotten no traction there. I had another trade where I tried to trade. A guy was asking $600 for a CGC 2.0 Justice League of America #1, which would have been a perfect book for my trading challenge. And I offered him a number of different combinations of books that were worth over $600, and he wasn't interested in any of them. And that's fine. That's part of the reason why I diversified downward a little bit, is I want to keep, when I've only got like 4 books that are in the 250 to 350 range, it's hard to trade upwards because people like some books and may not like other books, and you have to find, if I'm trying to trade 250 books for 500, I need to find 2 that they like, right? And I may only have 1 that they like. So what I'm trying to do right now is get more and more books in that range. So if I can get to the point where I have 6 books that are in the 250 to 300 range, or 8 books, I'm going to have a much better chance of consolidating upwards the bigger variety I have. And that means, again, moving stuff further up from below. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the whole pile of stuff out so you can see everything. I'm going to go over everything, and we'll have the list up with the current prices and the trade asks, which are going to be as current as I can get them. Again, I've had one book that I just traded for. It was the Amazing Spider-Man 134. I just got it like 3 weeks ago, and the GPA price was 210 when we made the trade, and now it's 265. And there have been multiple sales that have been high enough to raise the average that high. There was one sale that was almost 360. I don't have any idea why that book is going up so much in such a short time. Totally stumped. But because of stuff like that, I'm waiting to the last minute to put my trade valuations on here. But let me show you all the books. All right. Lone Wolf and Cub, #1. Ice Cream Man, #23, convention variant, limited to 500 copies. Micronauts, #1. Master of Kung Fu, #29, first appearance of Razor Fist. Miracle Man, #1. Star Slayer, #2. I'm showing the back cover because that's the part that's important. Red Rider, #65 and #85. The Superman, Death of Superman late prints. So there's the Superman 77 second print, the Action Comics 685 third print, and there's also the Superman 73 second print, which I've misplaced somewhere. Airboy, #5, classic Dave Stevens cover. Richard Dragon Kung Fu Fighter, #18. And #5, First Lady Shiva, First Bronze Tiger. Avengers 196, First Taskmaster. Spider-Man 252, First Black Suit, which later becomes Venom. Doctor Strange 169, the lower grade copy. Avengers Annual 10 and Avengers Annual 10. True to Life Romances number 10, L.B. Cole Golden Age Romance. Journey into Mystery 92, Loki cover, 4th appearance of Loki. Star-Lord, Marvel Preview number 4, 1st appearance of Star-Lord. Amazing Spider-Man 134, CGC 8.0, 1st appearance of Tarantula. Nova number 1, CGC 9.2, 1st appearance of Nova. And Doctor Strange 169, the mid-grade / higher grade copy. Okay, so that's where we left it going into round 8. But a couple changes that I wanted to mention. As I just mentioned earlier, I took out the raw copy of Star Slayer number 2, and I've replaced it with this CGC 9.8 copy of Star Slayer number 2, which is now in the trading pool. Or I should say was in the trading pool. Because the other thing is, because I've been it's been a year and a half, I've had some of you guys, my trading partners, that have been waiting patiently for me to get off my duff and actually do the next round. And so I've had some standing offers, people that have been holding books to trade to me, just waiting for me to respond. So thank you for your patience. I apologize for the long delay. But the upshot of that is that I've done a couple of those trades that were sort of in the queue. And so at the time I'm posting this video, we've actually already traded like half of the books from the trading pool away. So here's the new list here showing the books that are still available for round 8. I'm going to have a list down below. If you're interested in any of the books that are still available, you can respond in the comments to let me know. You can also, probably better, if you go to the About My Channel section, it has my email. You can email me. We can work out a trade. If someone, it's sort of first come, first serve. Of course, I reserve the right, if trades don't always work out. Sometimes we'll try and come up and we just can't make it work. Difference of valuation, whatever. So I always reserve the right to turn down a trade, although I don't like doing that. But if someone expresses interest, let's say someone finally realizes how awesome this Whitman Micronauts 1 is, because I love this book. Let's say someone contacts me, they want to do this. I'll put a thing here in the comment, in the description down below, saying that it's on hold. That book will be on hold until we can figure out a deal. If you're interested and something still hasn't actually been traded but it says on hold, you can still let me know that you're interested. And then if that doesn't work out, whoever's next in line, I will then try and work out a trade with that person. I'm mostly just trading here in the US because the international shipping is ridiculous. But, if you're interested in something, let me know. We can see if it's possible to work out a way to get that. I feel like I'm forgetting some of the rules, but it has been a year and a half. In the description down below, it'll have a full detailed list of all the rules. It'll have a list of all the books, the grades, the values, and whether or not they've been traded, so you can check on that. It'll also have a comment pinned to show which books have been claimed and which books are still available as well. So I'm really excited to get back to this. And I'm excited to get these trades out. I still have some really cool books available. Hope you guys like it. Just let me know. Reach out if you want to do a trade. We can figure something out and we'll swap some books. And then you can help me get to the All-Star 8. And, as I've said before, what I love doing about this is I'm going out there, rescuing books from dollar bins, trading them out to people who are looking for them and want them. So hopefully you guys will get books that you need in your collection. And ultimately, at the end, I will get the book that I want in my collection, and we're going to have a lot of fun dollar bin diving, and doing cool trades along the way. So let me know what you think. We're going to have the next video hopefully soon. I've got some books currently in transit. The next video for this will probably be sometime in early August. But I have a bunch of really cool stuff coming. Some really good stuff coming that I can't wait to show you. And hopefully we can trade some of this to find some new homes for awesome, awesome books like Doctor Strange 169 for people that want them. So that's it for this time. Thanks so much for your patience. I'm really excited to get back to this. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time.